You know what that sound means? It means this is FoosWeek. I'm Adam Gilson. That's Tom Robinson. There's Hannah Smith. FoosWeek is your one-stop positivity shop for all things foosball. We get to learn about the things that have happened in the past week in foosball, the things that are happening a week ahead in foosball, and we get to chat with people that are involved in those things that we're learning about. It's so much fun. I'm excited about the show we have for everybody tonight. I'm excited who we have tonight. Ted Kreuger is going to talk to us about Wisconsin State. We have Matt Bigz is going to be talking to us about the Leonhardt, I believe it's the first Canadian Leonhardt Championship in Montreal this coming weekend. We're going to hear about that. I'm excited about that. There's just so much going on, so much excitement, so much foosball. There's been so much foosball. I don't know. What do you think, Hannah? And Hannah, you're okay, right? I was worried about you Sunday.
We're back.
Good.
Thanks, buddy. I was worried about me too, honestly.
Yeah. Tell us about that. What was going on?
Hello.
Can you hear us? Did it come back? Did the storm start again?
Tell us there's no storms, please.
Nope. Can't hear you.
Blink twice. Huh. Well, she might reset here. That's a good tradition we have going.
Yes, we do. And it's we've had gremlins aplenty last week. And of course, if you tuned in for Foos Talk Live this last weekend, I was winging that one by the seat of my pants and was saved by Jim Stevens at the last second. But just to let you know that Hannah just went through a whole series of storms this last weekend in Mississippi. And we saw this on the news, the extraordinary damage that took place. And we are so grateful that she and her family were able to get through, not completely unscathed, but safe nonetheless.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And what about you, Tom? How unscathed were you about everything?
Oh, just, watching the news and what was happening there in Mississippi. I mean, I had my fingers crossed and just tried to double check to make sure that Hannah was okay. But I think she's back. Can you hear us now, Hannah?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. I like this beginning of the show tradition of you restarting.
I mean, I promise I come on pre-show and talk and everything.
No, I know. I see it.
I have the text.
Unless
Unless
you've got some chat GPT video thing going on there and you're faking us out. No?
Not doing that.
Okay,
no.
blink twice if that's... What was the first thing you said to me when we first met? I'm just kidding. Anyway, so you're doing good? You know how they do that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm great. I'm doing really well. The storms were rough. They hit a bit north of me, so that was lucky. But we did have some trees down and power outages for a while. So my apologies not being able to hop on and leave you there hanging, buddy.
No apologies necessary. My goodness. Yeah, don't ever think about that. It's funny because with Foosball Radio and Foos Talk Live, we had two occasions back in, May of 2020, I think it was, when we first started the show. I had 2 weekends where we had tornadoes touch down within a mile and a half of the house.
Wow.
And so the first one took our power for 4 days.
Wow.
The second one was a little bit further away, but it took out the power for 2 days.
Were they the T3000s or the blonde sides? Foosball? Okay.
Funny.
They were
Sorry.
tournament level.
You had to.
tornadoes.
You had to do it.
Somebody had to do it.
In tournament level.
Right.
Nothing but the best.
Yeah.
But I
That's
still see the
me.
damage. There's you can drive the back roads here and still see the damage where these things came through
Wow.
and just took, huge trees and tossed them for many, many feet, if not, in one case, a couple that trees got tossed about half a mile. So yeah,
Wow.
they were concentrated, but very strong. I think they were F1s or F2s, but when they touched down, man, I mean, there's
That's
nothing
just
you can do.
That's just so hard to contemplate. A tree
Yeah.
getting thrown a mile.
Yeah.
I can't
They
throw
get
a wiffle
picked up
ball a foot.
Carried. Right?
They just go straight down.
We should work on that.
Can you help
One.
my form? I'm all,
Yes.
damn it.
Literally my job.
Why does the ball
Man.
keep hitting the ground right away?
But no, this last weekend, Foos Talk Live happened. I was bound and determined it was going to take place, and Jim Stevens stepped in, and he was able to jump on. He had just gotten back from his vacation, so things were challenging, but we made it. And I mispronounced a bunch of names of people that were playing at the Oklahoma State Championship. My apologies for that. Please forgive me.
I said it's Sprademan, not Spreedeman.
Yeah, I know. I try to remember, but what can I tell you?
You don't check your emails, Tom.
I know. Well, okay. So, Adam, what was Oklahoma State like for you?
Well, I'll tell you what it was like for me. It was an exercise in expectations versus reality. I knew going there. I just knew. I know Tommy Ackes, and I know the stuff he does behind the scenes. I love that guy. And I know what he's creating there, him and his wife, Kathy, and Tony Owens, 3 people that love foosball so very much and are good at foosball, and that helps too. And going into it, I was like, yeah, I'm going to see a great local scene. I'm going to see, there's going to be a cool ceremony. They're doing the Johnny Horton I'm a Bad Man singles and all this other stuff. And I'm like, but it's going to be at one of my favorite venues for foosball tournaments are pubs, bars, pool houses, stuff like that, right? That's what I grew up playing in. Now, I love a good tournament at a hotel, 100%. But there's something to be said about a local place where you're doing your thing with your tournament, and then the pool players come in and then leave. And if there's like a dance area, you know what I mean? Like it's the whole spiel. And my favorite thing with traveling, which is what these tournaments have come to me now, this is my 17th tournament that I've been to in the last year and a half, was... Wow. Was that it was like you get to just see the region, see what I've never been to Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I got there Thursday, got into my Airbnb, and then went to the Magoo's, was at Magoo's to hang out and play in there Thursday night local, just whatever. And this is all you need to know about this tour, or this venue and this player base. All you need to know. I show up there looking like a schmuck with my man bun, and I had a lightsaber in my hair. Most of you have seen me. I look like I should be like on the cover of like Don't Do This magazine, right? For the most part. I'm very muted right now tonight. And even that, I was treated, a second I sat down and got a drink from the bar, I felt like I was a local. People were coming up to me talking. They didn't know me from Adam, which is funny because, but
you are Adam.
Right. But it was so nice.
Touché.
Right. But I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, it was so awesome to immediately just feel like you just belong, and one of my favorite foosball players to watch and play against, Lacey Stonewall Jackson. I find her to be just so hilarious. She's like laughing and having fun no matter what's happening on the table, which is a lot, because for me, if things are going against me, I'm crying under the table. So I love that. I mean, there's just and everybody, all the locals there, the ones that don't tour, all this stuff, like everybody's just so supportive and so nice and just so, it was great. I'm sure that there's drips there, that everybody has their issues, whatever. But for me, I think the attitude reflects the leadership of the place. And I think that leadership is Tony, Tommy, and Kathy. Even though she might not put herself in that place, but that's the bottom line. But then I was super excited because I was going to do commentary with Foosball Sports Network that weekend. Jason Wicks wasn't there, but Brittany was to carry the stream. And I remember Friday night I came back Friday night to help Brittany set up, and I fell asleep. I was sitting there behind the booth, and it was like 9:00 at night, and I just fell asleep. And I was like, something isn't right. And I thought I was stressed out about school or something. And then by Saturday, I realized, you know what? I'm freaking sick. And I had the flu. I just flew. And it was just, and I slept for the next 48 hours. And as a lover of foosball, as a commentator of foosball, as a foosball fan and dork and nerd and everything else in between, I cannot tell you how horrible it was to be holed up in that Airbnb for those 2 days straight while some of the hottest foosball action was going on, a 5-minute Uber from where I was, That's life. It happens. the results are on there. You could see it, and I and by the way, Tony sprayed him and quintupled. But one of the things that I think was a really interesting takeaway for me on the outside looking in, and not just like having the energy to push and like get the lights running and the cameras going, was I really think Brittany did such a great job to do what it is that she did get streamed. And I think that people that maybe complain or get upset about foosball streams, particularly the ones that are free, should go do it sometime.
Oh yeah.
Go buy the equipment. Yeah. Go learn how to stream it. Go find an audience. Go do it consistently, and then maybe complain. Because the people that are doing it, the people that are streaming foosball for the most part, they are the parallel to the people that go to tournaments, lose their ass, but they're doing it because they love it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So,
it does.
So I think you got to cut people a little bit of slack, and that's my do something of the week. Go try it yourself first before you complain, because nobody woke up and said, "Phew, I owe you beautiful 60 FPS, whatever, blah blah blah, whatever." Go try streaming in a older location that isn't set up for something like it, and see what it's like. It's different.
I gotta say, I was watching the Open Doubles finals, with Tony Spratham and Tony, and of course Tony going up against Ryan. I mean, of course that's always a classic match, when that happens. But it was well done. I gotta say, I caught every play. Everything was working, and there's occasional buffering here and there, but not a big deal.
Yeah. And she had to make. I mean, I know what the Foosball Sports Network, what they usually run, how it usually looks. And it wasn't at that level where I know they can be, but Brittany had to do what she had to do to get any kind of stable stream going. Right. And applause to her, because Jason was out. He had a family thing, doing something else, and they usually work as a team at these things. So, bottom line, that was good. The foosball, the competition was great. But the venue, the thing that I went there the most to see was the regional players and how they all jive together, and it just felt really good. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to going again next year, and I'm looking forward to remembering most of it, because what you're hearing from me is kind of what I pieced together as I sat in the Tulsa, Oklahoma. The Tulsa International Airport is one of my favorite now airports. It is so cool. It's so cute. It's got the Lexington bluegrass vibe. It's so nice.
Okay.
So because it's only two terminals, and it goes like this. So it's this big U, and you can sit in there. There's floor to wall ceilings, and you can sit at Chili's and whatever.
No,
but you can watch
floor to wall ceilings. I know you're not feeling well, but floor to wall ceilings.
Whatever, Tom.
Envision that.
Hey, nobody asked. Sorry, floor to wall to ceiling. Good call. Anyways, but the point is, it was really nice. And the coolest part is when you get off the plane and you go through to get to your baggage, right past security, you go down this hallway that's got windows on one side and windows on the other, and in between the windows there's a conveyor belt, and then another set of windows, and it's your baggage. I literally took the two pictures I took that weekend. One of them was my baggage, and the other was Avetta Moore and Jerry Todd juggling in the parking lot.
Juggling?
Could you imagine what I could have actually had from this weekend if I was actually sentient? It was just so disappointing. Anyways, juggling.
You have to be more specific about that event. What was that all about?
Nope.
No?
I have to wait for the picture.
Juggling.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Okay, so I've thought of a different question that I'm gonna start asking people that go to tournaments that I've never been to, or players from different areas. So I know we have two on tonight, and I'm gonna ask a little bit there, but I've found this one because Terry brought it up, and it's something that I do so often when I'm playing. So if I'm playing Billy, round 1, expert singles, whatever, open singles, whatever. Hey Billy, I'm Hannah. Oh, I haven't met you before. Where are you from? That's my first question. Why? Well, regional stuff can often tell you a little bit about a player before you have to play them.
Mm-hmm.
So he touched on that, but I've thought of that for a while. I always use that as something I am interested in learning. So I know a few Oklahoma players, but if you had to sum up your knowledge of Oklahomian players, what is the style? What is Oklahomian? I don't know. That's terrible. We're gonna have to cut that out. What is your style? What's the style that they play? Do the majority of players play an older based game, or is it all newer style, like rollover, whatever, or is it? What do you think?
I think a lot of the players, and you got to look at the big dogs. I think a lot of the players there emulate as best that they can Tommy's game. Not necessarily that well, but they do. A lot of the players don't tour, and they play a rough and tumble version, something I would call kind of warehouse foosball. The guy that I got in the draw, he was like, what'd you say? Like, how would you describe it? Like he could take a 1 gallon coconut and get 3 gallons out of it. Does that make sense? Like,
nice.
It ain't gonna be pretty. It ain't gonna be pretty, but that's what he could do. And I'm just like, okay. And like 40% of the people there talk like Boomhauer from King of the Hill. It's one
unfamiliar. Can you give me me a little snippet?
I cannot do a Boomhauer. No, I'm not. I cannot. But they can.
You're gonna play some football. You're gonna play some football. We're gonna play some football.
Okay, there it is.
Ouch.
No, it's just like
snake shot.
But it's not. Yeah, but the bottom line is that like the players, it's rough and tumble. I'm gonna stay with that coconut thing. I think that's pretty much it. Like, yeah, they're just making it work, and they're good, and it's just down. It's the way that I was raised to play. My parents played that way. That's how they learned how to tournament soccer back in the 70s when they were playing warehouse foosball. So. But more
warehouse foosball.
Yeah, more refined, obviously.
I guess it's better than boutique foosball.
Well, speak for yourself. Better than boho. I suppose we should probably, with that said, bring in our first guest of the evening.
By all means.
That would be Ted Kreuger. Is it Ted? It's Ted.
Woo-woo.
There's Ted.
Hello, Ted.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Ted, we're happy to have you, buddy. How's it going, man?
Very good. Thank you for having me. Sorry you got sick in Oklahoma.
It happens. Man. But it sucks.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
An understatement. What color were the walls in your Airbnb, by the way, in the bedroom that you were stuck in? Do you remember?
Yeah, the color of what screaming looks like.
No. It's like, I know as a kid, whenever I got sick, I always remembered the color of the walls because they would kind of undulate when you would when you have a fever.
Yeah, you're not wrong. They were. I mean, I do remember everything was like off-white, like gray. That's weird, Tom. Mm-hmm. Get out of my head, dude. Sorry. So no, I'm kidding. No, I love it. So Ted, you at Wisconsin State was a weekend, the week before last, and you did a lot of commentary, but you did a lot of playing. How did either go for you?
Well, I focus more on the commentary at Wisconsin State and running the tournament. It's really hard to run a tournament and play at the same time. I would rather just run the tournament that weekend. But I still did okay as a player, middle of the pack and things. I don't play singles. I just played 2 doubles, 3 doubles, mixed and open and pro doubles. But I try and stay in the booth as much as possible. Otherwise, you never know who's going to jump in there.
We know. Is Mark Torres anywhere nearby? That's what we want to know.
Nah, he'd be fine in there. We let Mark come in there. But no, I love doing the commentary and I just like the thought of throwing a good party once a year, and if I'm not playing, that weekend, that's okay too. I just want to throw a good party and in Wisconsin State is really comfortable. There's nowhere like it on tour. Adam, how you were saying you like the pub style foosball. Well, this is for you because it's really nice. There's nowhere comparable because you can order a meal from a waitress and watch matches like at the head of every table in the main room.
Cool.
So there's a lot of spectating,
nice.
a lot of room for spectating and really good food and it was real smooth and real comfortable. That was my imprint on it, just to put as many chairs as possible because that's what I feel like most tour spots are missing. Somewhere to sit down and watch a match. You know, they might have places to sit down and eat, but I like to be able to sit down and watch a match. So so we got that going on. Yeah.
That's awesome. You know, I've never been to Wisconsin State. I lived in Minnesota for a while, so I went to Wisconsin a few times because my friends lived there and we would go over for, break or whatever, hang out. So I've been around there, but I've never been to Wisconsin State. Tell me 3 things that are pretty unique about Wisconsin State in comparison to like your regular run of the mill tournament that we all go to.
Well, we have, like I said, the
More
comfortable.
seating.
We have the good seating.
Nice.
Oops, I pushed the wrong button here. But I can still see most everybody. But yeah, we have the good seating. I personally level every table at Wisconsin State, so I can guarantee you we have the most level tables on tour. So that's that's number 2, and then our own personal commentary with our own sponsors. So
That's cool. And I know it seems like you might be listening and be like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's not a flex, like the leveling of tables. It is, okay?
Yeah.
Especially for players who are picky like me. And maybe I'm not really that picky, but it's like we had at a previous tournament, I know Sullivan and myself, or playing singles, I had to move tables 6 times. And I was like, what is going on? Like, you know what I mean? And it's just like you kind of get out of your groove, but that is such a flex, especially for a player that, comes in and, takes it seriously, which we all do. So hats off. Super cool. I know that's a job. I'm sure it's not very fun having to go to all the tables yourself and make sure they're level. I know that's quite the task.
Felt good to personally do it. Yeah.
Sure.
So Ted, you obviously take a lot of pride in this this activity. Now, how do you feel about being a player? You're playing in the tournament, also running it. Where do you feel that it affects your game in any way?
It definitely affects your game because there's no time to practice. If you're running the tournament, there's no time to work on things. So you just have to play by muscle memory at that point, really. And we did okay. We did okay. Like I said, middle of the pack and everything. But yeah, it's just such a workout to run the tournament and be pulled in so many different directions, and then all of a sudden you have to worry about your match.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Yeah, it's got to be rough. And how many tournaments have you run so far?
Well, I've helped out with Wisconsin State for probably the last 6-7 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've played less and less at each year, and that's what it's worked out to.
Do you find joy in playing less and doing that more? Obviously you do, but like.
Yeah, I do. I really do enjoy that part of it, just because then I get to focus on the commentary, and I get to talk about all the local people, all my good friends that I get to see every Saturday, and yeah, it's a whole lot of fun. Yeah, so I enjoy that even more. It's less physical work, more mental work.
Right.
I enjoy it just as much, to be honest.
So you because I'm curious the commentary part for you, because that's my bag too. I love it. Like what draws you to that?
Well, just trying to do a good job and do a good service to the match, and just pay attention and just try and regurgitate everything I learned watching Jim Stevens and you guys and other sportscasters throughout the years. I'm just trying to do a good job and present the sport.
Nice.
And that's all I really think about, and I add my own little tidbits in there. So I really enjoy it. It's a good time.
Yeah.
And we had Ron Olson in there. He did such a great job in there, and he's so fun to listen to. I feel like
great guy.
Cracks me up. So it's great having him in there. A good chunk of the weekend too.
Yeah, Ted, you bring in. I really like the way you sprinkle in the personal anecdotes or the personal stuff from everybody that's going on. I really like that a lot. So we've got a couple of people in chat chatting. Arcuchera says, "Hey Teddy," I don't know who that is. Maybe you do. T42 Louis says, "Look at that sexy beast." Obviously referring to you, Ted. And Drifter Radio, the Mad Apple venue in Wisconsin tourney was top shelf. It looked it. And then T42 Louis again. Vote Teddy Kreuger top promoter 2023.
Ooh, there you go.
Nice praise.
Ted's commentary is awesome.
I thought of a good idea for promoter of the year too. Tornado should put up a foosball table for promoter of the year every year.
Nice.
They could at least do that.
That would be
right?
cool.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, Adam.
No, I like it. No, I'm always up to be interrupted by really great ideas, and I think that's a good one. I think that's really
too easy. It's too easy. They could help themselves and help all the promoters that are doing a selfless job. That are doing Tornado's job, right?
Yep.
And Teddy, hearing you talk about that, it kind of connects the dots for me. I've been to tons of tournaments where tournament directors play, and it doesn't always work out the best. No offense. There's some tournament directors that can play and run a great show, but often I'm sure that is such a difficult task. And these not major tournaments, they're state tournaments. Time and time again through this show, you get to see how much pride people have in their state and how much it means to them. And what better of a don't complain, just go do something about it, that Adam has been kind of pushing, do something to better foosball. What better example could that be than, taking a weekend off of focusing on yourself and focusing on making sure everybody has a great weekend? That's a super selfless act. And that's something I think we need more of in the sport and just the world. But that's really good. That's really wholesome, and hats off to you for doing that and taking time to, because you're a top player. It's not like you're going to go 0-2 in every event. You're coming here and you have a solid chance of winning and placing high in every event that you play. So it's not like you're just, writing it off like, oh, I'm going to go and have a good weekend with my friends and do the best. No, it's like you're taking a step back, and that's a really big deal. So hats off to you, Teddy.
Thanks, Hannah. And the reason I became this way is I realized that nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else is going to promote. Eventually, every player is going to have to do a little promoting because there's so few players. I realize how few players there are, how few active players we have in America. And Hannah, you can remember all of them, right? Like there's like less than 1,000 for sure active players that you see. You can remember their best pass and their best shot. Like there's so few people that it's time for everybody to promote a little bit and tell a friend, and introduce the sport to somebody new. And that's what we try and do in Wisconsin here.
So Ted, this is kind of a tradition we carry over from Foosball Radio and Foos Talk Live. But since you and I have just met for the first time, I'm very curious. What exactly was the first time in your life you saw foosball? How old were you, and what kind of table was it? The first time you saw foosball.
So I always had foosball tables in my house, Tom.
Okay.
And my dad had like different tables that he hodgepodge together. Like wow. He had the top of one table on the bottom and the surface of another one and another. It was always different. So but Dynamo was the first one. I remember him having like a complete table on, and then eventually he had a whole model Tornado that he got for me. But yeah, a whole bunch of hodgepodge ones. My dad was a Hall of Fame promoter here in Wisconsin.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So second generation. So so you probably were starting what, 5, 6, 7 years old?
Yes, I see pictures even playing even younger than that. But I didn't start learning and taking it seriously until I was in my 30s, though.
Really?
And start really understanding the game, and like just really trying to learn more about it. But yeah, I went to the military. So I was in the Army for 10 years. So I didn't always have that time to learn foosball, and that's what I tell everybody is you can get good when you have time. It doesn't matter when it is. It can be later in life too.
Right. Right. Well, thank you for your service, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Wow. So being raised by a first generation Fooser, was your dad a pro?
Nah, he wasn't a pro. He just played for fun. But he was many people's like introduction into the game of foosball. Like he taught like people you'd never guess on tour. He bumped into I'm gonna drop some names here.
Okay.
He and I found this on in Texas. Randy Chavez. He was a guy who got introduced to the game from my dad, and I lost to him there. So my dad created, like, he taught this guy. And now I lost to him. Nah, he's really good. And another one, Evan McGregor.
Yeah.
Oh.
And his dad, Steve McGregor. My dad introduced him to the game.
Wow.
Very cool.
So it's yeah. So he was many people's first introduction to the game, and he loved the game. But he played more for fun, But I took him to Colorado one year, and we took fourth in pro doubles. Almost got a trophy, but Bill Hayden and Greg Mendel took us down.
Greg Mendel, I know Greg very well. Wow. Well, tell Greg he's no friend of mine now.
Teddy, sorry to interrupt if you were rolling there, Tom. You can
No, I'm good.
Go ahead. So like I said, the question that I'm going to start asking people, I have a general idea because I've played several of the Wisconsin guys before, and I have my own idea of what I think whenever I say, hey, where are you from? And they say I'm from Wisconsin. I kind of have an idea of what to expect, but what would you describe as the like Wisconsin style of foosball?
We play fast. It's all from Tony. We all try and play fast like him. Try and open up the holes on demand, not wait for him to open up. So we've all been watching him all these years. So we play fast up here. I would say more so than anywhere else in the country.
Are you a snake shooter?
Yeah.
I like that.
Very interesting. I would say that too. I would say, most shoot rollovers that I've seen or played against have a, tic-tacky type 5, relatively quick players. And, most of the higher level ones mess around with walking the ball. It might not be to Tony's like style, like it's a little different than Tony's style to me, but a lot of them understand how to, walk you off of holes and stuff. So I think that's pretty awesome that it all kind of comes from the man himself.
I feel like that's kind of something. It ties into what I was saying earlier. Like it kind of follows the top dog from the area or the greatest influence. I think a lot of players in Oklahoma play very much like how Tommy. They try to emulate what Tommy does. I know in Southern California it's Trevor Park, myself included. That's what I emulated.
Right.
I think that's really interesting. I'm curious, Ted. For you as a second generation Fooser, do you feel some kind of pressure to adhere to some kind of legacy? Like, the crown's been handed to you and you've got to just do it. You know what I mean?
No, I don't feel that way at all. I mean, I'm going to continue to do, like, my dad was a promoter his whole life. He always had foosball tables in all these different places, and we go collect the coins from him and stuff. And he ran tournaments and leagues. So I'll always do that. I feel like that's my little service to the game to help it grow. But as a player, I don't feel like I need to do anything to prove anything, to be anybody. So I just try and put the product on the table and just play. I just play to enjoy the game. Chase the ball around.
It's a remarkably healthy place to be. I like that. So are you
Love
now?
That for you.
We had Brett on, last week. Was it last week? Gosh, it feels like a lifetime ago. Oh my gosh. Anyways, we had Brett on, and he was telling us
do that.
Right, it will. Yeah, every day is a month. So, and he was telling us about the scene there in Wisconsin, in the different little regions. What part do you inhabit there? And what's it like? You're in Appleton, and like, who's the top dog versus the up and comers there?
Well, this is the epicenter of pro foosball in Wisconsin.
Okay.
The Mad Apple on Saturday nights, and we had a league on Thursday nights too. So most people come here on Saturday night. I have the most points in the state, but there's other really good players too, really good pros. We have Jeff Kimmerling, Rob Balza, Matt Weber's moving back, Greg Rushing. So we have a bunch of really good pros that might come out. But I have the most points. But that doesn't matter. There's a lot of really good young experts and stuff that could take you down any day of the week at our Saturday night thing. If they get hot and have a good partner at the end, we run a monster draw.
Nice.
And it feels like it's going really good, you guys, as far as growing the sport for new players. So that's what we've been doing Saturday nights, and we'll do a Swiss bring before a big state tournament. But that's been our format, and people have been having a good time. It doesn't get stale. Nobody gets sick of the monster because you're only stuck with a player for like 7 points, and then it's on to the next one. And if it's a new player, then it's not one person shouldering the load for the new player. And it's allowed, like, my little girl to get really good. She's only 11, but she's got really good by playing the monster down there. Wow. But it's growing. So we have like between 20 and 30 people every Saturday, and it's just there's 80,000 people in Appleton, so that'll give you an idea about the size of it. But yeah, 20 to 30 people every Saturday. It's a great turnout, and it's a ton of fun. And the bar adds money. They add 150 if we get 32 players.
Wow.
And they'll add 75 if we get 16. Anything under that is $3 a person.
That's awesome.
Very cool. I really think that monsters are such a good way for your foosball community to mesh. I know that's kind of played out and basic to say. When I said it sounds bad, but it's just like, no, it's such a good idea because, it really discourages the beginners. If you come to a tournament and you get to play with one person, it kind of limits their learning ability. What if it's not a good fit? Or what if, they're both beginners and they really didn't learn anything that round, and then they come and they've spent money to play and they've got crushed and then they don't want to come back. Well, that's not the point of foosball for local tournaments. You know what I mean? It's just not it. You're missing it. So I think the monsters really provide a good platform for forming a good local scene. Even when we had ours, there was like 8 people, but great. We get to play a monster. Awesome. Like you get to play with everyone. Like that's great. And it really makes you, care about more people and see different styles and have ample opportunities for the money that you're putting in. And I think that's a super cool format to move foosball where we need it to be.
Nobody goes out in 2, Hannah. That's the beauty in it. So we had people that would drive for an hour or 2 and then come to our tournament just to get knocked out, and they're done in 45 minutes. Their night's over. Now everybody gets a 3-hour workout, you know, and then we do the playoff bracket. So it's another hour after that. But everybody gets that 2.5 or 3-hour workout. So I think it's a good deal for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's special. You know, as I was a kid growing up and I just got into foosball, I had to drive over an hour to go and play. And I wasn't very good. And nobody wanted to draw me because I was the little girl. And it's just like, and the guys were good. And they would just kick me around and I would lose every time. And we'd go home and I was like, I hate losing. And I didn't learn anything. I just got bullied. And it wasn't fun. It wasn't a good learning environment. And it's not an environment I would want to bring a player to get introduced to foosball. And it's not an environment where beginners want to play. So I think monsters allow more beginners to want to play because, you know, monster draws, okay, if you win 0 matches, you're probably going to get kicked out for the final round. Okay, fine. But at least you got to play several rounds and maybe learn something along the way. It's just a really healthy format, I think, for forming a strong community in foosball. So I think it's underrated, but I do love that Swiss monster type deal. So keep rocking it.
Thanks, Anna.
Yeah, so you know, when we were talking to Brent, of course, I had to ask him the question when it comes to doing tournaments. Now, you've been involved with, as you mentioned, 6 or 7. What happened this year that you're never going to do again, and what do you want to improve for next year? What are you going to do next year that's going to be new?
Well, we lost some footage from our stream, so we have a plan next year to back things up. But apparently YouTube lost some of our footage somehow.
Ouch.
Yeah. So, and so we're going to back things up better for next year.
Gotcha.
And what was the other question? I'm sorry.
So basically, what do you want to add next year that you didn't do this year? What would you like to try new next year?
I'd like to add another event, maybe classic doubles. I want another event for the pros and masters to be able to play.
Cool.
So just something that everyone can play. You know, maybe a pro-am or classic doubles. I want classic doubles.
There's classic doubles. I played classic doubles at Texas State in 2021. That was a blast. It was single elimination though. But
yeah, it was fun. I played that year down there too, I think.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. No snake shots.
Yeah, it's fun.
Like,
classic.
Man, that's what it should be. Well, some of the time anyway.
Yeah.
So, Ted, we really appreciate your time here. Before we wrap up and give you the last words, I'd like to know, Hannah, any last questions or comments or anything for Ted?
Yeah, it's basically just one last comment. You know, you mentioned there's so few of us that we play, and there are, that we have to do something to promote foosball. I 100% agree. And if you think about it, there's even fewer people that are willing to get behind a microphone and watch someone else play foosball and commentate. So I think it's really cool that you're one of those. And sometimes foosball media, you only get a few faces, and you don't get a broad enough idea of foosball sometimes. So I love that you are willing to get behind a microphone and put in your input and have other players on there. I think that's another way that you're making foosball great, because that's special to me. You know, no offense to anyone, but I don't want the same person to commentate my match every time I play. That's not that fun. And you know, we're not really lucky enough to have Jim do every match that we do, but that's okay. You know, you have to learn how to love everyone talking about foosball, because everyone cares enough about foosball to sit down and talk about your game of foosball. So I'm always appreciative of that. And I think it can be overlooked, but I appreciate you taking time to be one of those behind the mic commentating.
Thank you, Hannah.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think that anybody who does selflessly get in there and promote this game, no matter where it is, you know, and no matter what size of tournament you're working with, if you're putting your hard-earned time and energy and blood, sweat, and tears into this, man, you got my vote every single time. And yes, I think Hannah's absolutely correct. Your voice blended with the rest, it makes it stronger, makes it better. So keep that up. But man, I can't wait to get a chance to meet you in person and get a chance to maybe play a couple of pickup games, something like that.
Sounds great.
That sparks the question for me. What are the next tournaments for you? Are you going and touring at all this year?
Yeah, Illinois. I'll go to Illinois. That's May 5th through 7th. So that's the next one. I wanted to go to the Battle in the Mountains. That didn't happen this year. I was hoping to go back there. But definitely Illinois, and then the World Championships. I don't know what I'll go to before then.
Right.
But I'm sure Vegas is going to be a blast.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go. I can't make it this year. But.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Well, Ted, I hope one day, I appreciate your time here tonight with us, and I hope one day, you and I get to do some matches in the booth. I think that'll be a lot of fun. But before we bring in our next guest, I'd like to leave the floor to you. Any last words, comments, anything?
No, thank you guys for your time, and come check us out at Wisconsin State, or if you're in the area, a Saturday night in Appleton.
Oh, that sounds great.
Come see us at the Mad Apple for the Monster.
Awesome.
You just never know. We might just haunt the place.
You never know. You never know. All right, Ted. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. You have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. You too.
Ted, great to have you, man. Let's talk again soon.
Thank you, Tom. Bye, Hannah. Thanks.
So one of the great things about this show, y'all, is not only we get to hear voices that we don't get to hear too often around the tour. Ted, of course, somebody we all know, which is awesome to hear him talk and hear his take on what's going on in Wisconsin. But our next guest is somebody who represents a whole other country, an area from a whole other country. And I'm super excited to talk to him because of this tournament coming up this weekend and just a whole other take of our neighbors to the north. And that's Matt Bigz. Matt, are you there, sir?
Hey, guys.
Oh, there he is. Matt, my friend. Very nice meeting you earlier.
Hello.
Thank you for hanging out, waiting to come on. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Really excited to be on this podcast and talk to you guys about Canadian Foos and let you guys know what's going on.
So before we hit the ground running with questions, paint us the scene. Who are you in your scene? Where are you in your scene? And what is happening this weekend?
Awesome. Yeah, so I've been playing foosball for about 20 years. I'm actually focusing a lot on promoting the sport now. I've been a player for a long time. I've been on the Canadian national team, played at high level, went to the American tour, European tours, toured quite a lot, and just really focusing on, promoting the sport, making it big, especially here in Canada, and hopefully making something out of it that's going to grow the sport.
And that leads to this weekend that you're promoting is this what?
So this weekend is a really big event. We're really excited about this one. So after many years of, organizing tournaments and especially here in Quebec where we organize Bonzini tournaments, we have one of the biggest tournament tours in the country. We're proud to announce that we're going to be having the first national Leonhardt Championship being held in Montreal over the weekend. So it's going to be a big event. We're expecting players from all over the country, including the United States, a few guys from New York State coming down, but mostly Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Trois-Rivières, Quebec City, as far as Rimouski, and really all across the country. It's really great. Even we have some people from BC actually, all the way across the country coming down as well. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, really great event. We didn't know what to expect out of it because we don't necessarily have a Leonhardt scene, but we sure have a lot of support because we definitely have a lot of foosball players. So it's going to be a really great event. Really excited about it, and I'm really excited to host it, honestly. And we'll definitely going to be doing streaming as well. That's a big part of our of what we do is to get visibility for the sport over streaming on Twitch as well. We have a channel. And try to make it fun. We try to make it entertaining for the viewers, so it's pretty cool. We try to have a different approach to our events. We like to make it, a little bit like wrestling, the WWE. We know that's fake, right? But
Okay.
it's still fun to watch. It's entertaining. That's how we do it on our stream. So we like to have different people talk, make it fun, have some explosions going on after a goal, and just make it fun for the viewer to watch instead of just watching some foosball and having somebody commentating that specific match. So. And it works, and it works for us really well.
What's the name of the Twitch stream, real quick? I'm going to throw it in the chat.
For sure, it's AQBB_foosball.
It's twitch.tv AQBB_foosball.
Right on, yeah. So that's going to be the Twitch channel for the weekend. That's what's going to happen. 3-day event. So starting on Friday, we have a DYP going on, and then mixed doubles. And then we have the full other events. We have 3 different categories: amateur, expert, and open. We also have a women's singles event. Eventually, we hope to have a women's doubles event. Unfortunately, we don't have that many women to tour, so they prefer to have a women's singles event on there, so we have that for them. And we also have a junior singles event on Sunday as well.
So, I have a few questions just in general. Geographically, paint me the scene of the Canadian foosball people. So, I have tons of Canadian friends, but I don't really know like where anything is like located. But like I have people that say, "Oh, I'm from Toronto," or "I'm from Quebec," or wherever. But I heard you mention Bonzini. So, I went to a Bonzini tournament last year and met a ton of guys from Canada. They were fabulous, as most are. And they had such a fun time. But so I know you mentioned Bonzini. So your location is mainly based in Bonzini or Leonhard, or how does that work across the country?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say Montreal or Quebec, the province of Quebec itself, is probably the most multi-table, province or place to play in Canada. We actually started playing on tour back in early 2000s on the Garlando table. That's the first table, I guess, most of us from Quebec started playing on. And it was a really big tour. We had over like 1,000 of players, and it was working so well. Like we had tables all across the province. And we were all playing on the Garlando table. We had them in bars everywhere. You would go a night out there and you would play, all night if you had to for $1, and then eventually we started to tour on the American tour. That's when Tornado was introduced in Quebec, but we know that in Ontario as well, Toronto, Ottawa, they're mainly focused on Tornado. We got great players like Mario Riganello, Mario Iannuzzi, just really great players out of Toronto that play the Tornado table. We also have Eric Dunn, I believe, who started in Ottawa, from what I understand, when he was in university. So he's also a very good Tornado player. And then out west as well, so in BC. Everybody else actually is mostly Tornado. And then in the past couple of years, that's when we started to introduce other tables. Bonzini started in around 2005, but it was very, very small. A lot of French players, from France, and it's a big community here in Montreal, where we have a lot of French players. So they kind of started playing the Bonzini table. I personally didn't like it at first. I was more Garlando Tornado, but got to love the table eventually. And it's really fun. Like, it's one of my favorite tables now. It allows me to, compare different styles, play different players, and it really makes it fun. So the scene in Montreal and in Quebec now is really big on Bonzini. And we have the AQBB, which is the biggest association that runs tournament in Canada now. We run about 5-6 events, including the Canadian National Bonzini Championships that are held in September every year. And that we have a player base of more or less, let's say, 150 active players, which is pretty neat, and that tour all around, all year. And then recently, we just were introduced a couple of years ago to Leonhard. Obviously, some of us went to the World Cup. We were able to play on it. Really loved the table. Really fun to play with, and it's a table you can easily adapt. So having a Garlando background or Tornado background really allowed us to be able to adapt to the Leonhardt table very well. We tried to get some tables here. Obviously, a couple years ago it was a little bit more difficult. Eventually, we had Canada Foosball, who was able to become the main table distributor for Leonhardt here in Canada. So by that means, we were able to get more tables out to the players, and right now we're in a situation where we can afford to have a very nice Leonhardt tournament happening this weekend in Montreal. So that's kind of we really have a multi-table culture here in Canada, and it's really, we love it.
So I got to say that the last time we saw your crew here in upstate New York, Justin Cayute, I believe is that how you pronounce his last name? Cayute?
Cayuette, yeah.
Cayuette, yeah.
Correct.
Justin Cayuette and Dan Benatar, the guys came down and really cleaned us up there at the Smash Down in upstate New York. What players do you look forward to seeing perform the most this weekend at Leonhardt, and who do you think is going to come out on top?
That's a good question. I don't want to push too much on that. Obviously, it's a new table. Nobody has ever played a tournament, like a real tournament on that table for a whole weekend. So these are going to be new results. I think we're going to expect a lot of surprise, a lot of upsets, maybe players who we think are going to win might not win. So I wouldn't put my money on anybody this weekend except myself, obviously, right?
On yourself, yes. Of course. Now, have you had a chance to tour recently in the States? When was the last tournament you played here in the U.S.?
It's been a couple years. I'm actually going to the Master Opens Championships in Florida, I think end of April. Just happens that, circumstances make it that I'm able to attend. I haven't attended in a couple of years. I think before that was maybe in 2018. Maryland State, I believe. We went there a couple of years, toured also a couple of times in New York State Championship, maybe 2 or 3 times Tornado Worlds. So, yeah. So my next one is going to be Master Open in Florida.
That's awesome. I'm going to see you there.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, you're going to be there, Adam?
Yep,
Awesome.
I'm going to be there for Inside Foos, doing the commentary and whatnot.
He'll be making appearances at the in between the beach and the emergency room. He'll be at the tournament.
Don't jinx it, Tom. You never know. But so tell me about. I don't know if people know this. Canada's huge, right? I mean, it's not a very small country, and I know that the United States suffers geographically from the regional aspect of foosball. Like you have countries like countries like Germany and Europe that like it's like boop, 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 everywhere, and everything's connected by the transit system, and then you can go here and go there and go there. But Hannah, you know that. But in the United States, like the California players don't very often go anywhere past Dallas, and that's us. For you up there, that spread that you're talking about, because I've played against and with Eric for quite some time back in the early aughts, and I remember him talking about that. Like, you played in your zone. That was kind of it, right? Or has that changed since then?
No, it's still a reality. I would say that I think that's our biggest problem, or struggle that we're dealing with is to unite the players. The player base is so diluted, and I mean, you're saying in the States it's like everybody's far, but we honestly think you're all close.
Right. I could see that.
For us, a 10-hour drive is like we go through a couple big cities and we can do a couple tournaments in New York, Maryland. You know what I mean? There's a few places we can go. Whereas if we do that here, we just go to Toronto and then there's nothing for I don't know how many hours, right? And then we go to Edmonton and play there, and then we have BC. So it's hard to get all the players together. We're currently working really hard. I know Canada Foosball is working really hard on having a united ranking system and having a Canadian foosball tour. that will be able to combine all of that, but definitely having the top players all at once. In the past years, we did have qualifiers. I would say the biggest player base is obviously in Eastern Canada, because we have Toronto, we have Quebec, where the biggest tournaments happen. Most of the time, I guess it's the players that are out west that have to combine. But it would be great definitely to have everything closer and obviously have more tournaments going on and having a bigger player base for sure.
In a Twitch chat here, GTA Fooser is saying Tyson Francis is taking singles, and I would not be surprised. I saw Tyson play at I called some of Tyson's matches TKO. If he keeps improving and playing, I could see him winning quite a lot.
Absolutely. Tyson's a really good player. I had the chance to play with him at the last Ottawa Open. We played losers final against each other. He actually got he beat me that time on Tornado. We'll see what happens in Leonard this weekend. It's going to be a good battle, but that's the fun of it, right? It's just all that uncertainty of who's going to play what and how everybody's going to perform. And as being a promoter now, I really enjoy that, and like Ted was saying earlier, it's as fun, or if not more fun than actually playing, just talking to people, gathering everybody together and knowing that you're able to promote a really nice event for all the players, that they enjoy it. That's so much fun. So we're really excited for that.
One question I have for you is regarding World Cup. I know you've been on the team, and I know you watched Foosball too. So when I've played Bonzini tournaments in the U.S., and the players play a completely different style than when I went and I played against the French people at World Cup. The style is completely different. So if you want to go and you want to get better at the style to play against the French people, then it's really not doing you much good when you go and you play on the table versus Americans who just play Tornado pretty much on Bonzini. They just force it to fit Bonzini. How would you describe your area's transition, from Tornado to Bonzini to Leonhard, or how does it work, or what is the flow, or are your styles fitting the French game, or are they more Tornado on Bonzini?
That's a really good question. We're actually very diverse. Obviously, I think, let's say we take the 5-bar, for example, we're going to do a lot more brush passing on any table compared to stick passing. We're going to vary a little bit, obviously, to give us other options, but I think most players on tour will use the brush pass, for example. A lot of pin shooters as well we have on the Quebec scene. French style, when we go to France and play the Bonzini Worlds, we kind of recognize those style a little bit. We also had a player in the early, I would say mid 2000s. He actually came from France. He was one of the top players in France back then, and he came to play in Quebec for a couple of years. So we were kind of introduced to that style of play by him, and he used to dominate at that time the tour, and he was doing a brush pass, that French front pin, all the way, kind of a pull shot, but all the way to the side, doing that with the closed hand. So we're used to that. Obviously, it evolved a lot. We have snake shooters now, we have pin shooters, we have pull shooters as well. And I guess that's part of the game and the evolution of it. But you're right, it's definitely something that's different from the American tour, where you're going to get a lot of pull shooters that play, let's say, I would say with the North Carolina tournament, stick passing, square shots, I guess that's the American game. But yeah, we're really multi-table, and I think that's the strength from, players, especially in the Quebec area, where we play different tables, we adapt to different styles, and we're able to, vary our game around that specific table.
Sure. And, I think that's so important at being an overall good foosball player. It's almost limiting to say, yeah, I'm really good at Tornado, whenever you realize that there's other tables that so many people play on other than Tornado. The good foosball players can play on any of them. And the best foosball players have learned that you can't force, a round a square peg into a round hole. It's just not going to work. So you just can't force a tornado game onto the Bonzini table and expect to be able to compete with those that understand Bonzini on a deeper level and have that style. But, like for me, the only tournament I had seen anyone ever play against me before I went to World Cup was one weekend in North Carolina. And so when I got over there, I had watched a ton of film, yeah, sure, but I had never seen it. So it's like, you don't know until you've seen it. Like they're getting whooped by it. You know what I mean? You don't know what that style is like until someone has literally handled you with that style. And it's so different. But like you said, I think the multi-table is so important because you may be really great at something on one table and not so hot on the other and have a huge strength on another table, but making that translate and figuring out what are you going to do? It's like learning in foosball again. You get over there on a Bonzini and you shoot a push shot, shoot a pull shot, go back to your basics of foosball and figure out what's going to work. But I really have a respect for people who can play multi-table and play it well and are willing to play it. So I think that is a strength of the Canadian scene for sure. And I hope that is something that can translate into America and letting us kind of see more of foosball. It's a deeper layer of foosball for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why is the United States so averse to that? This is an open question. They're not. There ain't no way. I feel like I would get shunned if I tried to bring a Bonzini or a Leonhardt or whatever. Does anybody?
It's very different.
For all the time this way.
Yeah, a change is a big thing. And, your top players on Tornado might not be the same top dogs on Bonzini. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure they would still be great. But, it would limit their shine. They wouldn't shine as much. And that's okay. That's a layer of foosball. But, say the North Carolina tournament. They have tornadoes, they have Leonhardts, they have, other tables there. Okay, cool. But at the tournament, it was all Bonzini. But the scene is so drastically different than Tornado, like obsessively different. I don't want to blow the cover because we are going to talk about one of the Bonzini tournaments and I want to give a little input. But overall, the people there are just so appreciative of foosball. Say you shoot a snake shot on me and you cut it back between my men. I'm like, you didn't mean to do that. And then you're just like, dang, sorry, didn't mean to do that. But like, there is none of that with them. They're like, great shot. That was awesome. Like, they just give you credit. You don't deserve it, but they give you the credit, So and it's such a cool, fun environment. Like I brought my mom last time and, she got to hang out with people and it was just so great. But it's crazy the dynamic of changing the table and the area in the US. It seems to really change how people treat the seriousness of the tournament. You go to a tornado tournament, it's like me against you, dog. We finna dog it out. But at Bonzini, it's like they're just so happy. Like I won women's singles and like she come and hugged my neck. It was like, I'm so happy, honey. Like you did great. And like, we're not gonna do that here. So it's just so different of a scene. Like, I don't know. That's how it is for me here. Just drastic.
The Bonzini tour, though, in Canada is very competitive still. I mean, I think the difference is that what happens on the table stays on the table, and then once the match is over, we're friends again, I guess. But it's right. More, I don't know. Like you said, we encourage each other. We want everybody to perform. When somebody wins against you, you're going to be mad after that last point for sure. You'll be disappointed. Then we're just going to go back and talk about the match, what happened, what we did right, what we did wrong, And to get back to your Bonzini point, by the way, Hannah, the ball can cut a lot more on Bonzini than on Tornado. So those shots are actually, a lot of players do them on purpose. And I think
sure.
That's one of the aspects of the games that we don't have on Tornado, finding that little small, diagonal cut that you're looking for, or even shots from the back where you can literally be at the top of the table and shoot it on the other end of the goal with that diagonal slice. So a lot of players do that. And that's something when I first started playing on Bonzini that I discovered, and it opened up my eye on a lot of other things on other tables where I found some tight holes that I didn't see before because of that. So that aspect of Bonzini allowed me to get better on Tornado, Leonhardt, whatever other table. So I think that's kind of part of the game as well. And the style is going to be different. Obviously, you know, we have metal men, they're not counterbalanced, the ball's different, the surface is different. That being said, if you compare it to tennis, I'm sure, you know, we have the clay court, the grass court, the fast court. You know, I think that's the best comparison because, like you said, the top players are always going to perform and they'll find a way to win on those tables. You know, us in Canada, the best players are all multi-table or most of them. So, and that's how we feel that the game should be played. And that's why we push that multi-table aspect because, you know, we want to have a player to try out that new style and he's going to find something out of it. So I think it's a win-win situation. And I think that having that multi-table side of things really makes great players. That's nothing more.
So I know we've just met today, but Matt, do you mind if I call you Biggie?
Oh, sure. Actually, that is my nickname here in Canada, so
Biggie!
No problem with that. Yes.
So
Very cool.
no, this is customary when it comes to being on Foosball Radio or Foos Talk Live or on FoosWeek. I get to ask the question: what was the first time you saw a foosball table? How old were you, and what kind of table was it?
I think I was about 15 years old. My
15.
dad had bought me a Cooper table from
Cooper.
Walmart, I think. Yes. And the funny thing is that he said, so let's buy a pool table or a foosball table. And I told him I want a pool table. And so we didn't have enough room in our basement. So he's like, we're buying a foosball table. So ended up playing, got hooked to the game. Not long after, actually saw a small TV show. It was called like PV Sports for kids or for teens, whatever. And
Okay.
there was a foosball tournament that was being announced, and it was a
Wow.
Orlando tournament in Montreal. And decided to go there with a bunch of friends. We got our ass whooped. We went 0-2 in every event, but we still loved it. We got introduced to the snake shot for the first time there, and we just got hooked on it and been playing for 20 years now. So
Wow, that's
how it all started.
extraordinary. At what point did you feel like you were going to be competitive?
I think I got a knack for the game quite early on. I developed quite quickly. I think when I first started playing on Tornado and really working on my technical skills, because remind you, we started off playing on Garlando, which was a table, and it was like square foot Garlando, not the Euro Garlando that we know today. It was very different. Like it was a no passage table. That's how they used to call it, kind of the Italian
passage.
style. Yes, that's how they called it back in the days, with square feet. And we had a white ball that wasn't necessarily always round. So we always had to have like a hard time catching the ball. But it allowed us to have a lot of ball control. So that was really good. But eventually when I switched to Tornado, saw the American game, saw how technical it was, that's where I really improved and started to get better. So I would say, 4 or 5 years after I started playing, that's when I really felt starting to be competitive, started touring, playing the American Tour a little bit, and playing a lot at home, obviously, and then Europe, World Cup, all of that. Yeah.
Very cool. I'm sorry, I have to ask you the question, man. I can see behind you, you've got a couple of tables. Is that a Bonzini is there Bonzini, and what's the other table?
It is. So I have a Tornado and a Bonzini in my basement.
Okay.
I'm actually bringing a Leonhardt after the tournament this weekend, so I'm gonna have all three now.
Cool foos room, by the way. Very cool.
Thanks.
Is that where people get together for a weekly fun in your man cave there?
Absolutely, yeah. This is the spot. We play a lot at home. We have a lot of great players here, so we try to play as much as we can. That's where we practice and have fun.
Nice.
I keep saying, international people are here now, but you're our neighbor, right? You're not really that far from us. You're our neighbor. But the Canadians that I have had the pleasure to come across and meet throughout my foosball career are just fabulous. There's so much, we're very different between Americans and Canadians, I think, even though we're neighbors. But they're fabulous. I really haven't met one that was just rude to me or to really anyone that I've seen. They're usually just a joy to be around. And, like the competitive session you said earlier, well, at the North Carolina tournament, not everyone was competitive. Okay, cool. But there was a crew from Canada that did come down that were very competitive. And, just watching them play, you knew like they were going to be in the finals of pretty much everything they played. Well, one of them took this chance to play with me, who's never seen a Bonzini table until I showed up to the tournament. And we played in some things and we did great and he was fabulous. But, watching those guys with stacked up teams play each other to get to the final or for the final, they were on a table grinding, and it was no fun and games, but it was. They would make the coolest shot I've ever seen on a Bonzini table at that time, and he'd be like, "Yeah, what's up?" And then his buddy would like, "Yeah, wow." They just chirped back and forth. But after the match, it was literally all love.
Yeah.
And it looked genuine from an outsider looking in. Not always this case on the U.S. tour, it seems. You're not going to see, your top dogs here going at it for open singles world championship finals and then hugging it out and broing up at the bar, hanging out. It's I don't know. It's just you don't always see that. Most of the time you do. Yeah, cool. It's a community. But they just set the tone for me so differently than what I was used to seeing in foosball. And that was my first time being in an environment that allowed players to do that, to be fiery on a table, to come at you, bro, and then be your best friend. And they genuinely cared about each other. So I just overall love Canadians, loved them. They had a whole new crew come to TKO. I think I talked about that on the recap. There was like 20 new people I didn't even know, but I met them all, went and introduced myself. They were fabulous. So whatever you've got going on up there, you guys have got it figured out.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we really, we do it for the love of the game. Like you said, at the end of the day, we know each other. We've been playing against each other for so long. We're not a super huge community, right? We're a couple hundred players at the most. But, doesn't stop us from being competitive and performing on the table. We always, we want to be the best. That doesn't change. But at the end of the day, I think the fight is on the table and we still respect each other as players. So we can get frustrated. We can say some bad words sometimes, but, we always come back and, be good pals. So that's, for sure. That's a really positive things. And, we'll continue doing that for sure.
So what is, unless I missed it because I had to step away and talk to my 6-year-old who's running around the house. What is the schedule for this weekend? What are we looking at?
So we have I think 11 events. So we have a DYP on Friday and a mixed doubles. Now we usually have a Pro-Am event as well. So whenever we do the Bonzini tournaments, we have our full rankings. We had this ranking for actually 20 years now. I just realized, forgot to say, the AQBB has been around for 20 years. It's our 20th anniversary this year for the Bonzini Tour. But yeah, so we usually have Pro-Am, but we're not having it because we don't have a ranking system yet for Leonhardt. So obviously that's hard to do. Then we have beginner doubles, really for players like initiation to the game. We don't want any sandbaggers. We know who they are technically. Like you've already played in a weekly DYP and you kind of somewhat know how to, like you have a shot, you have a pass, you're not playing beginner doubles.
Right. Good.
Then we have the amateur events, amateur singles and doubles. That's usually played on Sundays. And then we have the main events, open singles, open doubles, expert doubles, and expert singles on Saturday, running throughout the whole day. And finals usually are on the Sundays. And then we have the women's singles as well event. And specifically for this one, this is the first time we're doing it, we're having a junior singles event, which is something eventually we want to start running a little bit more. We're starting to have young new players on tour, boys and girls. So we're really excited about that, and we really want to make sure that they're actually hooked on it so much. Yeah. Some of them are second generation players, but they love the game. So we want to start having those events for them, so everybody can gather around the foosball table and have some fun. So that's how the tournament's going to go over the weekend.
And have you spoken about the venue yet?
Yeah, so it's going to be held in Montreal. So this weekend, March 31st to April 2nd. We're doing this in a small community center.
Nice.
Yeah, so we we don't necessarily have ballrooms or hotels. The way we run tournaments actually is a little bit different because everything is done by the players. We have our own little canteen. We have different departments that are working, so we're really well structured. So make it easier for everybody. We don't want to have one tournament director who runs the whole tournament by himself. So we really try to structure everything in small departments. So we have the streaming team that does their thing. We have the registration table that does their thing and registered players take payments. And then we have the canteen, which is where players can buy their food. We try to get healthy snacks, drinks. We even have a sponsor, Guru, who provides a lot of energy drink, water bottles, Gatorade, etc. And it's done by the players. So all the food that the players are eating on spot, whether it's like panini sandwich or salads and stuff like that, is all done by the players, and it just helps also fund our tournaments as well. So that's how we run our tournaments, and it's very fun.
I'm struggling to understand what you're saying, and not in the bad sense, because this runs counterintuitive to everything I know about how United States tournaments are run. Everybody you described that has their niche that they're doing, the streaming team, the this team, the that team, is also playing that weekend.
Yes.
But because
Correct.
everything is spread out the way that it is, their performance while playing isn't necessarily degraded because of what it is that they're giving to that tournament?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So
love that.
We tried. So we're all players at the end of the day, right? We're all playing in the events. We all do it for the love of the sport. We're not paid to do this, but we like to give back. So we give back with our time, but then again, we try to simplify things. And that's one thing that the AQBB has been doing in the past year and a half, ever since we started the tour again, was to be able to simplify every aspect of the organization team. Not only to allow, better tournaments for players, but also being able to make it easier on the tournament director and whoever wants to be involved in promoting the sport. So everybody has their own tasks. We even have a setup crew. They're really specialized in they don't have to worry about anything except bringing the tables in, putting them leveled, making sure the foos lights are on, and they're set to go. Their weekend is done. They make sure they tear everything down at the end of the tournament. And I'm personally going to do the registrations over the weekend. We have over 80 registered players. I would say so far we have 50% that already pay the registration. More are coming this week. But at the end of the day, on Friday, when we start the event, I would say 80% of our players has paid their events. We have very few players coming to the registration table. Everybody's pre-registered. So it's just going to be easy for me to do and just start the events. We even have players who worked on an automated calling system, a little bit like we have on the IFP tour. So we have our own match calling, texting players with their tables and stuff like that. So it's very easy to organize those tournaments.
And is so you said that's the setup teardown crew, but in between, who does maintenance? Is it the same people, or how does that?
Yeah, so we have a group of maybe 4 or 5 main setup crew. One guy is in charge of pretty much creating the team. So yeah, whoever's available. That being said, if everybody knows how to change a pin or adjust the table, or so if we need help, we'll just go in there and split the task. But usually we have somebody available to do so.
My mind is freaking blown. Tom, Hannah, I don't know what to say.
Completely.
That's
completely blown.
Was not what I was expecting to hear from any of this tonight. That was not. Wow.
To have those tasks split up among people they're all participating in the tournament, I think that's brilliant. By the way, if we had Adam at one of our tournaments and we were doing this, I'd have him,
put me in front of put me in charge of the food.
He'd be cooking.
Yeah.
Wow. Who's the best cook in your group there? Is there anybody specific that you guys like the best when it comes to the food?
Oh, we do have somebody in charge. Her name is Marie-Josée. Shout out to her. She's doing a great job doing that. But every tournament, what's great, and that's kind of also part of the community, is we have players bringing in their or I don't know, chicken curry or chili or
Right.
they're just making homemade food for everybody. They're making it like for hundreds of players, and every
Wow.
time it's different. Yeah, we had like pulled pork the other time, and it's just great food to eat, and everybody participates. That's what's really fun about it, and that's what allows us to run those tournaments. And people get there, they know they're going to eat good food, they're going to have healthy stuff to eat for their tournament.
Yeah.
We have mixed nuts, we have, like I said, Gatorade, water, vegetables, so salads, etc. To make a nice weekend, and they know the players. We even have breakfast, like we have like bagels,
Man.
croissant. Yeah, it's really nice.
Sorry, that settles it. That settles. I'm going to renew my passport. I will be there. I will be
You
there.
have to come down, Tom. You're,
Yeah.
you're going to be a very welcome guest, and same for Adam and Hannah. You guys are always welcome. It's a really fun, exciting event, and honestly, it's just everybody's putting in, right? Like everybody is. We're not doing it technically for the money or anything like that. We're doing it
Mm-hmm.
for the love of the sport. Like we like our medals and our trophies and the prestige of winning more than the actual money we can make off the tournament, because and in a sense, like, we can understand it is competitive, but maybe it's different at the international level, but at least here in Canada, or some part of Canada, we try to promote Foos more than making money out of it, right?
So I had another question for you, and I know that this is something that we'd like to see more of in this country. We understand that you have sponsors. Did you want to mention your sponsors?
Absolutely, yeah. So starting this year with our streaming services, we were able to get a few sponsors to promote the sport. Obviously, it helps us to get better rooms for tournaments,
Mm-hmm.
allow better quality trophies, medals, everything that surrounds the foosball tournament, maintenance. We just actually renewed our foosball tables, our new Bonzini tables, with the new surface, so we're really up to date on that. So that's really
Cool.
great. So we definitely want to thank our sponsors, hgreg.com. We have matador.ai, who have been really great, and we also have Guru, that's our sponsor as well, and TJL Transport, who's actually in charge of putting our tables away when we don't run tournaments. So we really have a lot of people with us, and we're really thankful to have them on board.
Wow. So this is the first annual Leonhardt tournament. What are your expectations as far as turnout? How many people do you think you're going to get?
We didn't know what to expect. That was the scary part about this, I guess, because nobody plays Leonhardt. We don't have a tour. A few players have tables. So, anything between 50 to 60 players was going to be okay,
Okay.
just to run it off. Surprisingly enough, we're really excited. We're up to 80 right now, and registrations
80.
are not closed. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, if we can hit that 100 mark, that'd be great. So definitely looking forward to it. But yeah, we're really happy with the results. Great turnout. We have 12 ITSF brand new Leonhardt tables, so we're going to be playing on. So we can't ask for any better, honestly. So far, it's great.
I'm so intrigued by the sponsors. I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's such a big deal. That's so critical to the success of almost anything these days.
It is.
I guess my questions would be, what are you offering to the sponsor? Say I want to be a sponsor for you. What do I get as a sponsor? Do I get my name on your screen when you're doing the live streaming? Is that the draw? Is that important to the sponsors? What are things that are important to the sponsors? So, we can understand that a little bit better too, because I think that's something that's definitely missing right now in U.S. foosball.
For sure. I mean, sponsors want visibility, right? They want to be seen, and we offer that with the visibility that we have with our stream. The idea came about a year ago. I was actually over a friend's house, and he was playing those video games, just like this little man shooting everybody, and I was like, wow, there's like literally 50,000 people watching like that guy
50,000.
playing
Yeah.
that game. Yeah, and I was like,
Mhm.
and it was on Twitch, and I'm like, seriously? I mean, I've been playing foosball for 20 years. People know I play foosball, but not a lot of people have seen me play like in a competition, because we never did streaming, or it's just rare. So I'm like, so if this guy can play on a video game and get 50,000 people to watch him, I mean, there is definitely a market for foosball out there for people to watch the sport and view it over Twitch. And that's what sponsors are looking for, obviously, right? Views and visibility. So we had the idea to create that and show every time we do our streaming. You'll notice that all of our sponsors are always displayed constantly on there, and we try to make it fun too. So I think one aspect of foosball that we can all agree on is sometimes foosball can be a little bit boring to watch, unfortunately, in a sense that, when you watch matches, it depends also who commentates as well. But that's where we want to push it to make it fun, make it entertaining, make it interactive for somebody who doesn't know foosball. And when I say boring, it's boring for players that don't know the sport, right? They don't know what's going on. They don't know the tactical aspect of it. They don't know why the guy's taking so long to shoot a shot, right? They always think it has to be fast and, let's get it going, let's score a goal. And, it's hard to get new players hooked on it when it comes to watching competitive foosball, in a sense. So we try to make it fun, entertaining, and a little bit different approach. The guys, we always have someone different commentating, like I said at the beginning, having explosions and having the little themes. Whenever somebody scores like a crappy shot, we kind of put a little funny guy like, making a reaction and stuff like that. So
emojis.
We kind of emojis, exactly. Yeah. So we kind of use that gaming approach, but towards foosball, so viewers can stick and watch and continue watching for a long period of time, because not only are they watching a game, they're also watching the entertainment of the commentators and what's going on as well. And that allows us to have a lot of views, a lot of visibility, and makes it entertaining for the viewer to stick around and watch foos. That being said, when it gets more serious and the foosball is really intense and you can feel it, then we get in serious mode, and then you just hook to your screen and you want to watch more. So it really, it's the approach, I guess, that we have that's a little bit different. And we try to, understand how other streamers or other sports do it. And like I can compare it to darts, right? I'm sure you guys watch darts on TV. And no?
Once.
So, no, okay, maybe not. Maybe I'm the only one.
No, I watched it.
They have a big crowd.
It's hypnotic.
They have a big crowd. Exactly,
oh, yeah.
Right?
Huge.
It's like the commentator makes the whole action, right? He's calling like those 180 when they hit the 23 times. It's like, it's really cool to watch. It's exciting. The guy hits it again. He screams again. The crowd is in the back, just, all
nuts.
excited. Exactly. But it wouldn't be as fun just watching guys shooting a dart on a board if the guy wasn't there. So that's kind of the approach we want to take and make it fun for the foosers. So
can you tell me again the Twitch address, because I'm deeply worried that I wrote it down wrong.
Sure, it's AQBB _foosball.
_
Yes.
At Twitch?
Yes.
Because I'm looking at it. I've had it. That's what I've had on screen, but I'm searching for it and I don't see it. I see AQBB Foosball.
Oh, did we remove? Oh, I think we might have removed. You're right. No, it's AQBB Foosball. We recently removed the underscore.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I can change it. I can go back. I have so many passwords. I just wanted to make sure, because I was just about to pull it up and look at it, because I love that style that you're talking about. But I can go back and change it. Whatever.
Yeah. Don't. You can follow our page as well if you guys want. Always appreciate that.
Right now.
Awesome.
I think we need to create an emoji for each of us doing this show. Right? We need to have an emoji, and maybe I don't know, on the side beating each other over the head or something like that. I think that would make this much more compelling.
No, I think that what you would have is you have Hannah has her pencil, and Tom, you have your Tom. What do you have?
I have this.
Hey, that's my
the
shtick.
Clipboard.
Wow. What a flex.
I know.
This guy knows what he's doing.
You look like, that's some authority stuff. And I have
all
a My Little
scripted.
Pony. So I guess we'll start wrapping up here, Matt, before we give you the last words and whatnot. Hannah, anything else you'd like to say, ask, question, look at, examine?
Sure. It'll be relatively quick, but I think it's so cool of the attitude and the energy from the Canadian foosball scene. One, you're doing whatever that is you guys have. I want that for everyone because it seems like you truly enjoy it and you love each other and you love foosball. Two, I think it's so cool the multi-table aspect. I think that's so critical to a more wholesome foosball game. Like you mentioned, the slices. Someone slices that on purpose. Yeah. So Americans, this is how they think about this when it happens. They're like, you didn't mean to do that. And then they still run the same defense. And then you do it like 4 times. And then they're like, shoot, maybe he did mean to do that. Let me run some different defense. And then you're like, wait, I don't know what to run. I look like a dummy running this defense because I've never had someone shoot that. But like, that's so many layers deeper of foosball than just your basic tornado, set it up, rock, 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 pick a side, and it's going to go straight. But I think that is so, it creates such a higher foosball IQ for people who can translate across those tables with ease and have a game structured for those tables. So I definitely respect that. And I like what you said. I think that's such a clear thing because you don't know people are capable of doing that until someone does it. Like we would go over there and do that differently, but it's just it's so cool. So I'm very impressed with anyone who can speak more than one language. So that's awesome. But and play more than one style of foosball. So that's just I'm very impressed.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate it. We're really happy to be able to talk about this here today and giving us the opportunity to get to know the sport that we all love, but in different ways. So I think we could all, win from this and benefit from these discussions. I think there's something in Foos that can be done, and I'm confident we're going to achieve something big eventually. Don't know when, don't know how, but I think the fact that we're just having these discussions and sharing that kind of knowledge. We've learned so much from the American tour either way, right? That's how we understood the game. That's how we had the passion for the game, the competitiveness, and I think we all bring something to the table that could, benefit everybody to grow this sport in the right way.
I think so too. And, I was talking to a few of my other international friends and, kind of understanding the style they have in their country. And it's so different and how they promote and what a local looks like to them and why people come to local tournaments and the motivation. And it's so different. But I really enjoy you being our first, international guest. Hint, hint, there may be more on the way. But I think it's special. I think that, you can always learn something from someone different, and you shouldn't let where you live be a boundary to what you can learn from because, it's not always best where you're at. Maybe, you can always learn something from someone. So I think it's super cool, some of the ideas that you brought, and I'm really glad we could have this conversation.
Thank you very much to you guys. Appreciate it.
That's awesome. Tom, anything from you?
Yeah. Well, just a quick mention that, first of all, the Leonhard tournament this coming weekend, of course, is going to be awesome in Montreal. There's actually quite a few big Canadian events happening later on. In fact, May 5th through the 7th is the OFA Tornado Foosball Tournament, which is in Ottawa, in a place called Tailgaters. Are you familiar with Tailgaters, Biggie?
Absolutely. Yeah. Been there many times. Very great competitive foosball there. And this year, I believe it's going to be the first annual Hall of Fame.
Yes, the Hall of Fame.
At the Ottawa tournament. Yes, correct.
Right.
So
very cool.
That's going to be the weekend of May 4th.
Also, the Canadian Pro Tour by Canada Foosball presents the Edmonton Foosball Championships. That's June 16th through the 18th at Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. That's the Edmonton Foosball Club. Have you been there?
I have not, but I know the promoter over there, Will Strangt, a good friend. He's doing a great job. I think they actually just opened up a new Foos training center over there. So definitely thinking of going out to that one, support him over there. And it's going to be a great event again, for sure.
Awesome. And finally, the Toronto Foosball Club is presenting the Tornado Foosball Tournament. That's July 14th through the 16th. And that's at the Toronto Foosball Club. Now, do these cities all have their own foosball clubs? Is that how it goes?
We try to, yeah. I guess we try to replicate the European model where they have different clubs in different cities. Just
Right.
foosball place where you can go any time of the week, just practice, have fun, play a few games on different tables. I know the GTA club has all sorts of table, Tornado, Bonzini, Leonhard. We're really going that route to make sure that our players can play on every different style and
Wow.
know the game in different ways.
And any other tournaments happening in Montreal this year that you'd like to mention?
Yes, we actually have the Canadian Bonzini National Championships happening in September. That's going to be September 15 to 17.
Cool.
That's the biggest tournament in Canada. Yearly, we have over 100 players that attend. We have world champions that came already past year, Miguel dos Santos. This year, hopefully he's going to attend. We're also going to have guys like Maxime Blain, hopefully, Adam Tourmont.
Wow.
So some of the guys from the French national team that who we spoke to that are planning to come to that event in September. So that's going to be a big one. If you want to have the top competitive Bonzini players in the world, they're probably going to be in Montreal. So, and then another tour that we have is in November. That's going to be in Quebec City. Once again, Bonzini. The AQBB hosts about 5 to 6 tournaments a year, so that's going to be a provincial tournament out in Quebec City, and we're also going to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the AQBB this year in November for our last tournament. So it's going to be
a lot going on.
A nice
Lot going
party.
on.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. If there's any lulls in the action here in the States, you know where to go.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We're welcoming, and you guys can come out anytime. We like to host. We like to see you guys, and we want to have a great time. So we'll make it happen for everybody for sure.
Looking forward to it.
That is fantastic, and I can feel it. I can hear it in your words, in your heart, and what it is that you're talking about. What you all do there, I love it. I'm all for it, and I will dust off my passport to go to the next one just to experience it. I'm looking forward to it. But Matt, before we do our wrap up on our end, we want to give you a chance. Any last words, thoughts, comments for you? The floor is yours.
Appreciate it. Yeah, just once again, want to thank our sponsors, hgreg.com, Matador AI. Without them, our tournaments wouldn't be as successful for sure. The whole AQBB team, guys like Dan Benatar, Marie-Josée Ouellette, PB Bouillon, who does our streaming, Justin Caillouette as well. So everybody who's in the back, doing everything to help us succeed. So shout out to everybody there, and Dan Packer at Canada Foosball, Cam Burrows as well. These guys are doing an awesome job, honestly, to promote foosball in Canada, and just want to work in the right direction, work together, and make it happen. So foos on, faut que ça foos, comme on dit.
Love that. I was hoping for a little French tonight. Yeah.
By the way, what does AQBB stand for? Have you said that yet?
So that's going to be hard to say in English. It's actually French. It means Association Québécoise Babyfoot Bonzini.
Okay.
So it's the Quebec Association for Bonzini, Babyfoot Bonzini, pretty much. The association been running for 20 years now. It really focuses on Bonzini. That being said, we're hosting the Leonhard tournament, so things can change, but we're really focusing on the Bonzini scene for now, and maybe have the Toronto scene do the Tornado and kind of merge everything together to start doing more and more multi-table event. Eventually, I think that's the plan, and I think we can all benefit from that.
Awesome. All right. Well, Matt, appreciate that. Appreciate you. I'm looking forward to watching this weekend. Events start Friday.
Correct. Friday, 7 p.m. We start with the DYP, then mixed, and then all the other events throughout the weekend on Twitch, AQBB Foosball without the underscore.
All right. Well, thanks again, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on, man. It's we'll see you in Montreal someday soon.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, guys.
So,
wow, that was terrific.
Well, it's always terrific, damn it. Talking about people who love foosball and care this much about foosball. You cannot tell me foosball's dying. You cannot tell me foosball is dying when you've got that kind of stuff going on out there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The vocal minority has no place here in this space.
Vocal minority. I love
we
how you
deny
said
it. Sorry.
Go away. You're bad.
I spent 48 hours by myself in an Airbnb in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with reruns of The Golden Girls and Frasier and NyQuil. That's all I had.
Wow. That's it. Wow. What's the old adage of feed a cold, starve a fever?
Yeah, and then cry under the bed.
No food, nothing to eat the whole weekend.
Do you know what's funny? Oh, I didn't tell you. This is the best part. This actually is the best part. That's not the best part, but it's one of the best parts. I had zero, because it's the flu, I had zero desire to eat, like none. Like it wasn't like I was sick in that regard. Like if I ate, like,
Right.
I lost 7.5 pounds this weekend, which put me right in the whole Ryan Moore Zeros to Heroes thing. The challenge that put me over the edge, and I was like, "Follow me for more flu diet, tips and hacks." Yeah,
want to lose weight, get sick.
Yeah, seriously, don't shake hands and don't wash your hands. Anyways, I don't know, Hannah. What do you think about all this?
It's so cool to be a part of something and have a cool platform to where you can talk to people internationally and bring those ideas and let other people listen to them if they would like. That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't care. If you don't want to listen, that's fine too. But if you hear something that that we can bring here that's a little different than what you're used to hearing, and you have an idea come from that or something positive come from that, that's such a cool idea that I'm a part of. I get to be a part of that. So that's super cool.
Right.
Love the universal language that is foosball, right? It's amazing. It's it's special. I'll say that, and I'm so excited. I'm just gonna slip these in here, but here's a few little things. Upcoming episodes, we're gonna have some pretty cool people on here.
Oh yeah.
So you guys don't want to miss out, and it might not be tournament prep. If you're bored of hearing about tournaments, we got something for you. We got some guys lined up and some people that aren't always the forefront of social media foosball, but I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be cool and give, and I've had this, several people say this to me, influential people in the foosball world say, I'm so sick of hearing the same 6 people talk about foosball. Yeah, I understand. But the 6 people are good at it. I mean, but it's so refreshing to meet someone new or to see someone new on social media that you usually is at the same tournament as you, but you might not know this about them. That's cool.
So
yeah.
This is your baby, right? Do you want to preview it for us? This is what's happening next Tuesday, right?
Yes.
Let us know. Let's tell us.
Yeah. So we were kind of talking about, the tournament schedule is what it is. Sometimes there's tons of foosball to talk about, as it has been, and sometimes there's no tournament this weekend. Well, what are we going to do? So I had the idea of this series called Hidden Gems. So, you never know what you're going to find when you look at all the rocks. You might find some hidden gems. So throughout my life in the foosball scene, I have found several of those. And they might not be the number 1 rated player. That's okay. Okay. This might be someone who has a super cool job or super awesome talent that we might not know about, or a hobby or an ability, or they might just be super interesting people and you need to hear about them. Okay. So that was the idea, to kind of fill in the blanks. So our first guest will be Jake Barnett on April 4th. So he's going to come on and we're going to pick his insanely large brain about some things that we, might not know, or things he might want to tell us. It's going to be, chill or whatever, but he's super excited and I'm really excited. And if you have any of those hidden gems, people that social media overlooks sometimes, just send them our way. Okay. We're open to it. We want to know the cool things about other people. So, for me personally, foosball, when I first got into it and got back into it, I was super competitive and didn't really care about anybody but myself. Well, I didn't have much fun that way.
Yeah.
So after, kind of a change of heart and trying, to be open to more people and meet people, I've had so much fun, and I've met so many cool people that I never would have met if I was in my still stuck up bubble of not talking to anyone and not being social at tournaments. So it's so important to do that. You can still be competitive and let your guard down enough to go meet new people, but through that process, I found some real cool ones. So I hope you guys will want to hear some of that.
Super duper excited.
Great idea.
Give us just the tip of the iceberg. Why? I know why for Jacob, but why? Like for those that don't know, because I don't know how many people know or don't know this about Jacob.
Jake Barnett is literally a genius. He's like a child prodigy, math whiz, absolutely amazing. Was on some TED Talks as a kid. He's so interesting to me. He's just so smart and has so many algorithms in his brain, and working with points and stuff. He really picks everything apart. And Jake's one of my good friends. I made it a point before I knew any of this about Jake to befriend him. I don't know why. He just seems so interesting. Him and his dad were at a tournament. They just seem so interesting. So I just had to meet the guy, and he carried around a notebook, and he made notes on all the players. And I was like, "What's in that notebook for me?" And he was like, "Whoa, what's up?" But through that, we were friends and we've been buddies for a while. But he's a genius, and I can't wait for him to talk more about it and kind of tell everybody what goes through his brain that probably doesn't go through like 99% of the population.
Oh, that's yeah.
I seem to recall meeting him briefly at a tournament, and you're right. Absolutely brilliant guy. Absolutely brilliant. And looking forward to that big time.
And that's next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exciting.
If you have people, they don't have to be brilliant geniuses. They have it could be anything. But to fill those gaps, that was just one of my random ideas. And we have a few more people on the list. But I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
And Jake's excited about it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. That's gonna be well. Actually, I won't be here for it, unfortunately, but I will be listening in.
Okay.
Perfect.
I think we'll keep the light on for you. How's
I will be doing my spring break trip with the family to San Luis Obispo.
Nice.
San Luis Obispo.
Yeah, we've tried going there 3 times in the last year, and each time gets thwarted for one reason or the other. So I'm looking forward to it. This time it should work.
This time you'll be totally healthy.
Yeah.
Completely healthy.
Or my son will, or somebody will. Who knows? All I know is that there's a prime rib steak up there with my name on it.
Nice.
He must be feeling better, Hannah. He must be feeling better. He's talking about food again. So
yeah, that's actually true. Like I said, 7
You're bouncing back.
Yeah. Losing some weight. Well, shoot. I guess I should go and tuck my kid in. But Tom, last words? Okay. Well
Hannah?
said.
I think I've said it a lot.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that I just feel like we just made a brand new friend, 2 new friends tonight.
Right.
And Ted, and of course, and Biggie. I'm going to call him Biggie from now on. That's all there
Tom,
is to it.
that's the dankest, ballerist.
It's the coolest thing you've done in a while, Tom. That's what I'm saying.
No, come on.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding. That's what he was insinuating.
That's totally what I was trying to insinuate.
An old guy who has no idea what he's talking about.
I just went back to 1997 to come up with the word dank, so that's where I'm at. 1997. But there was one other person too we meant to say, and I didn't say it. Our new Patreon.
Oh, right, exactly. Yeah.
And I got to meet him briefly this weekend, and I hope I didn't give you the flu, Craig. But Craig Topham, or maybe Topham.
Topham?
Topham?
Maybe. That's how Bracklin says it. I don't know.
Topham, I think.
Craig Topham is how his name is at our house, but maybe we're wrong also.
That's really funny. I guess you know which region you're in based on what I'm not making fun. I don't know. I just realized I kept calling him Craig Topham to his face, and he didn't say anything. But he might be one of those.
I'm sure he's gone through that most of his life.
Right.
Walking around with.
We're gonna have to clear this up.
Yeah.
He's been a staple in our foosball world.
Yeah. Every time. Yeah. That's how
we'll get him on the show just to get the straight stuff.
Yeah, because that's the yeah. Reed.
Well, he's our latest Patreon, and thank you so much, Craig, for jumping in because it's you're making a difference.
So, I guess that's that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just like that.
No, it's been 2 hours. Gosh, that just flies by.
Another 2 hours?
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Wow.
Well, y'all, I guess I'm gonna roll the outro, and that's that.
That would be that.
That would be that. All right. Thank you all out there. Thank you, Patrons. You're going to see your names up there in the bright lights. Thank you, everybody else, that's been listening, and we'll see you next time.